I'm fine, thank you, President Kaler.
Okay, great. Any, nothing? Okay. All those in favor of consent?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Now we're moving on to our action and information items. You all received our monthly financial report. Are there any questions for Dr. Thomason or Ms. Martins? No. Okay. Oh, I did want to say on consent, can I go back? Mrs. Good isn't here, but I just wanted to say welcome to our new assistant superintendent for our secondary. Normally in this situation, he would probably be here and we would introduce him. I cannot pronounce his last name. Mrs. Martins, can you? But we're so happy he's coming.
I was going to say, we're happy to have the Executive Director of Secondary Education come,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
I am not going to attempt his last name in this moment either, but I know he's thrilled to join our team and looking forward to being part of Higley.
Yes, thank you so much. I did want to mention that, and I forgot, so thank you for that. So 6.2, this is Ms. Martins is going to give us a little update related to benefits.
So President Kaler, members of the board, our community watching, viewing, streaming, I am excited to share with you the thrilling news that our broker, our insurance committee, and I would be dismissed if I didn't mention Isabel Castillo and Alexis Sanchez in the Human Resources Department, who've been working hard in our RFP in regards to all of our medical as well as our voluntary products that we pushed out there and received back in February. So after having a lengthy meeting with our broker and the insurance committee and reviewing all of the information that had come back from the various vendors, we directed our broker to go back and look at United, who was our current vendor, and see if they could negotiate down the initial renewal that they gave us in terms of next year's premium rates. And I'm excited to share that they were able to come back with a rate pass and no premium changes for next year, which is wonderful. So looking at our total components, the insurance committee felt in terms of the products that were offered, staying consistent with the vendors that we have now was the best solution for our community, our employee community. You'll see on there, the only increase that we're looking at is our IMED, which although 11% seems high when you look at the number, in terms of actual increase, it's cents on the dollar. So for an individual employee with that increase, we're probably increasing by 20 cents to the monthly premium for that individual employee status. So that's something that's great. And I will say, like I said, the Human Resources team, our new broker, which is Hub International, and our insurance committee have worked really hard in making sure that we do the best we can for our employees. So I'm excited to be able to present this information to you today.
Thank you. Mr. Glover.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello, fellow board members and cabinet members. I just wanted to, it's great, I'm glad things are not going up, but I still have to marvel, and I think we should start, as citizens of this nation, we should start speaking up. It's amazing we live in a country that separates the eyeballs and the mouth from healthcare. It really should be all part of the total package, but that aside, I just wanted to ask Ms. Martins, I know that it's great that the premiums that we have for our employees who take the health care is zero. But was there any more talk about maybe sliding that so that dependents might be a little cheaper? Or are they not interested in doing that? Because I think we have some young staff and they're going to be having kids and all that stuff. It's something to talk about. I just want to know what the talk is.
Absolutely. So we have been actually actively talking about it the whole time that I've been here. How can we be creative in looking at our other premiums? Because as you may or may not be aware, above and beyond just the employee premium for two of our 4 plans, it's considered a buy-up, and that buy-up can be fairly costly and expensive. So that's going to be our next focus in regards to, now that we've had the RFP, we got the information in, what can we do globally to look at being able to give some sort of incentive to our employees that could help in navigating that cost? Because a number of our employees do only take employee coverage because it is quite expensive in the bigger picture. So we're going to probably have to start thinking about whether or not we want to look at plan design changes, or if we're going to want to look at other changes to then help, I don't know what word I want to use right now, maybe mitigate some of those other factors in the bigger picture. Because it's only going to, although we've successfully been able to negotiate a no rate increase for next year, that's not always going to be the case. It's always based on your experience. So always educating our employees too, to make sure that they're aware of all the resources and what they can do. And another plug for our benefits team within human resources, being able to communicate out about the teledoc and online prescriptions and doing some of those things, as well as things related to workers' comp, which is different than medical, but we're seeing an increase of employees not go to emergency rooms, so that all impacts what we're doing. So the more we educate, the more that will help us in terms of our potential premium increases, and then be able to have those additional discussions related to what else can we do creatively to look at those other costs involved in the bigger picture. It's just so hard, as you all know. Healthcare is healthcare, and it's one of the most expensive things that an employer outside of salaries has to be responsible for. And we don't get to dictate that so much. That's dictated beyond us in many ways. So seeing what we can do is definitely on our radar, and we're going to plug more into that over the course of these next few years.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know, Mr. Glover, I look at the dental benefits alone. They give between $1,000 and $1,500, and that's been going on for the last 25, 30 years. It hasn't, the maximums haven't gone up. I understand, so thank you for all of that, and thank you for your team, Mrs. Martins. So I'm going to move on to 6.3, and I move that the governing board approves the resolution to ratify the payments of benefits through addendums to administrative and managerial employees' employment contracts.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on this?
Just
Yes,
me, or do you want to go first? You're not going to touch it? Well, give me a second to pull this addendum up. So the resolution, I read it, and I did talk to Dr. Thompson about it, and I understand, like, the second line. I'll vote for it, but one of the lines says that the governing board has been aware of the addendums, and in my case, that's only true for the last couple months. Previous boards did, and some of this stuff started in 2013, so it's rectifying something that is a historical, I don't know, bumble that Higley made in the past. So it's correcting errors of the past, but I really have to swallow hard to pass that and say that, because we only just found out about it, and so we're trying to fix it. And so I will vote for it, but I just wanted to say my piece, and I appreciate you humoring me for that.
Anyone else?
Mr.
Mrs.
Glover,
Reese.
I agree with you that we are aware of it now, and it has been going on, and like you said, we're fixing something. I think probably all of us have talked to Dr. Thomason about our concerns with it, have expressed we want this fixed, and look forward to this going forward being handled differently. So.
President Kaler, members of the board,
Yes.
I have talked extensively to Mrs. Martins about it in our HR department, and as we move forward for the contracts that come out next year, it will be put in the base, so there is no confusion on that aspect.
Yes, I appreciate my entire board and Dr. Thomason and Mrs. Martins making a wrong a right. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And I do think moving forward, then we will all feel more comfortable with the benefit package. So any other questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And now I'm going to move on to 6.4. I move that the board approve the resolution, why can't I say that word today? Resolution to ratify the payment of longevity pay for 2017 through 2018, 2018 to 2019, and 2019 to 2020.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And we have one more here. 6.5. I move that the board approve the resolution to ratify the payment of longevity pay for 2017 to 2018, 2018 to 2019, and 2019 to 2020. Do I need to list those for the administration? No. Okay. Where? Oh, for the 2020 to 2020, it says 6.5, but then on the recommendation, it lists all the other years. Can we get a clarification on that? I think this one is supposed to be the
President Kaler,
2020.
members of the board, this is for this year coming up, and the resolution for 6.4
Was the
was
previous
for the
years.
previous years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the recommendation part up there, that sentence under recommendation belongs on the previous one, yeah.
Correct. Okay, does that make sense to everybody that I'm approving the administrative addendums for the 2020-2021 school year for 6.5 only? We're all understanding that correctly?
That is correct.
And I'll second that.
Any questions or concerns? Yes, Mr. Glover.
You guys must hate me. Well, I'm glad that, Dr. Thomason, you said that, and I think, I don't know how you guys felt, but my interactions were always that this should really be in the contract, and I'm pleased to hear that you guys are committed to making that as part of the contract. And in discussions, I've heard people say, and from other school districts, well, that's just the way we just add them. We just do that. We should not do that. And as a board, as a school district, your salary, just like a teacher's salary, when you see it, that's what you know you're going to be earning. There's no extra addendums, none of that stuff. I think it's, Mesa doesn't look too good about having done that. So it's a bad practice. I don't care what Mesa does. If they do it, I just think we should not do that. So I will vote for this and look forward to those contracts being part of the contract in the future.
President Kaler? Mr. Glover, I agree, and that was a discussion. I think that our addendums should be used in a different manner, because when I see the addendums and it talks about for additional work, everybody, I think, knows that this board has been pushing for accountability, and so when I see language like that in an addendum, I'm going to say, show me, what is the additional work? What are you doing? How is it additional? Because quite honestly, and with administrators, there's that little last line in their job description that says, and all other duties is assigned. So it kind of contradicts things, and so I really appreciate Dr. Thomason listening to our concerns. It sounds like we've had the same concerns, and again, we've really talked about having that accountability, and so we're trying to do what we say and say what we do, and so this is the first step. I get, based on the timing of this particular subject and contracts going out, I'm with Mr. Glover. I will agree to this for next school year because of our contract timing, but really look forward to, if this is what their salary is, if this is what they're expected to do, why is it just not their salary? Why is it just not their contract? So I do look forward to that change in the future, and I agree. I think part of education is we do things because we've always done things that way, and it doesn't make it necessarily the right way to do things. And I appreciate the openness of let's saying we can change a little bit of this. I mean, there's a lot that I wish we could do differently within education and finance, but I think this is a step in the right direction to say, just because everyone else does it, doesn't mean we're going to do it or continue to do it that way. So thank you for being open to that. I'm sure as a superintendent with many, many districts who follow that same practice, I'm sure it's not easy for you. Just like when we changed our insurance piece, you took a beating on that, and we appreciate it, but it's the right thing to do. And so again, I appreciate you being willing to kind of step out there a little bit, but it's the right thing to do. So thank you.
President Kaler, Vice President Reese, members of the board, we are dedicated to putting this into the base for all of our administrators and being open and transparent in exactly what's happening within the Higley Unified School District. And we are dedicated to getting this done before December of 2020.
Yes, thank you. I think the word of transparency is so crucial for this board, and we worked really hard on that piece, and so I'm grateful that we can, I know we beat you up a little bit, so I apologize for hammering you, but thank you for making this right, so we appreciate that. So, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And now we're going to move on to 6.6. And I move that the governing board increase Prop 301 pay by a total of $200 for the 2020-2021 school year.
Second.
Any questions or concerns on this?
I
Mr.
just
Gluck?
like to, it's the teacher in me. I like to clarify things.
Yes, I was
for
going
the
to ask
students
Dr.
and
Thomason
and the
to
listeners.
please clarify why we are doing this. Maybe let's start with Dr.
Okay.
Thomason's response, or Ms. Martin's, either one.
So, President Kalar, members of the board, our community, there's just been so much that's been going on, and we've had lengthy conversations in Finance Cabinet related to the increases, related to different aspects of where we're increasing and what dollars that we had, that when we approved the contracts to get those ready and moved forward, to have them out before spring break, we financially were not ready to agree on increasing the total Prop 301 funds for our teachers. So we didn't make that decision in terms of a Finance Cabinet until after contracts had been approved by the board, but we thought it was important because through our meet and confer process and talking with our teachers and the teams there, that we looked to increase this bucket also, and we just had to bring it later in terms of a different date, a different timeline in terms of a date, just because there are so many layers and aspects that we had to agree on and figure out financially if we had the dollars to support in these areas and what made the most sense, that we just time-wise was not able to get it done prior to have the contract changes done at that time.
Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Glover?
Yeah, that wasn't, I don't think that was meant to be any kind of criticism. I think the way that I read that was like all the things that are going on in the economy and related to sales tax and all of this stuff, would we have enough money? So I asked that question to Dr. Thompson, and there is enough money in reserves, and he's confident that they'll be able to deliver on this money. There was a little bit that carried over, so that was, I think that was more the question and the concern. So we'll be okay.
President Kaler, members of the board, as a superintendent and a district cabinet, we also believe that money is earned in that year belong to the staff and the individuals that earn their money during those years. And so we want to make sure that we utilize those funds for the appropriate individuals that are earning those funds.
Thank you again for working hard on that. Appreciate it. So, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries 4-0. And here we are on 6.7. This is our first read. So I recommend that the board, that she wants us to recommend. waives the second read and adopt this amendment of policy GCBA, professional staff salary schedules.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on this policy? Yes, Mr. Glover.
President, I just thank you. I know that I have been, we've been pushing to up the years of credit, and so this ups it from 8 to 10, and I hope that we continue to get and draw good employees to Higley by being able to offer them the years of service credit.
Yes, I agree, Mr. Glover. I know that was a conversation we had last year about this time, and so getting that up to 10 years, thank you very much. So all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. So future agenda items. Does anybody have any future agenda items? We have some things already planned. Our calendar committee recommendations are coming. Our gifted and talented program update, a technology update, how we prepare students for life beyond high school. We're going to have an athletic handbook review and some student athletic eligibility and clearance requirements. Is there anything else anybody has on their mind?
President Kaler?
Yes, Mrs. Reese.
I just want to kind of mention, you know, in the grand scheme of things, while these are important, your staff has a lot of work going on. We do want these updates. They are important. However, we get that you guys can only do what you can do. And figuring out this whole other new way of learning at the moment is really important. So I know we have some dates here, and I know that the board has some expectations, but we also know your staff is working really, really hard. And, you know, the calendar committee is really important, and we really want to know that, but we're already set for next year. So please reiterate with your team that there's other things. Take care of business first. If we get this recommendation later, that's okay. I mean, we don't need to worry about the next 3 years at the moment. Next year's set, and I think we're good. So I think there is information for the future I want, but right now that's not important. So I think that focus on what you need to, and we will get to these presentations and this information, and we'll still be here. And so I know your team has a whole nother focus right now, and that I think is what your board would want them to focus on. April 15th is soon. Don't worry about it. Let's figure out where we are then, and we'll come back to these things. So I don't know that anyone within the board would have an issue with that. Clearly, we're getting technology updates at this point on new technology that we are using and experiencing and testing and trying. So just whenever that does come back around, if we can kind of include this experience with that update, and I know we would get that information, but take care of business right now. So.
Mrs. Wilson.
I know I am sitting on the calendar committee, and we are doing a meeting on Friday via some platform, GoToMeeting or something, but there is some things that we will have to figure out for next year, and that's, I think, why they are pushing it, Dr. Thomas, if I can say that. There's some things that we have talked about in that meeting that they're trying to get for us to see for next year. So that's why that push is possibly happening. But I agree, if there's stuff that can be pushed off, we should allow the staff to focus on the bigger picture of how we're learning right now. So I agree with you, Mrs. Reese.
Mr. Glover.
Okay, so I'm going back to 6.6. I'm asking Dr. Thomason and Ms. Martins, will you let the teachers know? I think they could probably use a bit of good news that with your hard work that PFP is going up by $200, and tell them what the amounts are. They might enjoy hearing that.
President Kaler, Mr. Glover, we'll have an email sent out to our entire certified staff today from the HR department.
Thank you.
yes, I agree with Mrs. Reese. Anything that can wait, we can wait. Right now, I know just parents are teachers and they have their kids at home and they're trying to teach their own and teach others, and there's just so much going on, and I just hope that our community as a whole extends grace to everybody right now, because we all need a little bit of that. And I'm just thankful again for everybody that's working so hard behind the scenes right now, doing everything possibly can. I'm sure the same thing's going over at Gilbert. Mr. Glover, you're here in between meetings doing probably a million things over there. So I just appreciate everybody that's working so hard. So with that, we are going to move on to an executive session. So I'm going to give everybody just a moment to prepare for that. I'm going to make a motion first. So I make a motion to move into executive session to consider and take action on a student disciplinary matter pursuant to ARS 15-843.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.